So the second text that we're going to look at here is Chenrezig, the male Buddha of compassion, or Avalokiteshvara in Sanskrit. And so this one is also structured in the same format. We begin with our intention. We take refuge 3 times, followed by the visualization, mantra, meditation, closing, and dedication. The visualization for Chenrezig, again, we begin with stillness of body, speech, and mind. Again, we come from emptiness, in this case sitting on a lotus and a moon disk. I am Chenrezig, so we instantly arise as Chenrezig. So again, getting a picture, a statue, anything like that can be helpful in imagining what Chenrezig looks like. White in color with 4 arms. So this one's a little bit different. Some deities have 2 arms the way we normally do. Some have 4, some have many more than that. And we have also a 1,000-arm Chenrezig version. So white in color with 4 arms. The upper 2 arms are joined at the heart, holding a wish-fulfilling gem. So they're together like this. Sometimes you can actually see something in between there. So he's holding this wish-fulfilling gem. And then my lower right hand holds a crystal mala. So the right hand is kind of off to the side with the mala. Sometimes it forms a figure 8. Sometimes it's more of a circle. And then the lower left hand holds the stem of a white lotus flower. So he's holding the lotus flower, usually kind of toward the heart, but the flower is blooming over toward the side of the head. I wear sacred silken robes, the precious 5-pointed crown, and other ornaments. So again, these outer tantras, outer deities are typically wearing kind of regal royalty type garments, if you will. In my heart is a moon disk with a white Hri standing in the center. So instead of a Hong like we looked at previously, now we have a Hri surrounded by the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum, facing outward and circling clockwise. So the thing is on the outside edge. It's not actually touching, but standing up on the outside edge of the moon disk, facing out, and so it's circling clockwise, and so as it comes by we can read the syllables, and so 1 circle for each recitation of the mantra. Light radiates from the mantra. I offer it to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in the Buddha field. They send blessings of wisdom and compassion in the form of light that fill me and purify all obscurations of my body, speech, and mind. Fully purified, I become the embodiment of the wisdom and compassion of all of the Buddhas. So we visualize this, the light radiating out, coming back, purifying our body, speech, and mind, and we embody this wisdom and the forms of the Buddha. Again, light radiates from my heart mantra, pervading the entire universe, transforming it into a pure land. As the light touches all sentient beings of the 6 realms, all of their suffering and ignorance is dispelled, and they are transformed into Chenrezig. So that's also a very common thing to see in these different sadhanas, where the light radiates out and touches not usually first, although the order varies a little bit. First, it usually touches the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and so forth, and comes back as a blessing and purifies us. Then it radiates back out to sentient beings, and they are transformed into whatever the deity is, and then they are part of that whole retinue then that's radiating back and forth. And so in this case, we see that happening. And then we recite the mantra. Usually we recite the mantra for enough of 1 round of the mala, and so those typically have 108 beads, so hence we see the 108 here, or as many times as you have time. If you have time to do several of the mantras, then that's great. If you don't, then do it as many times as you have time. If you have time just for 10 or just for 1, that's fine. but you do as many as you can. When you're doing that, I think I mentioned this before, but just as a review, typically it's done with the left hand, holding the mala, and we take one bead at a time and pull it with the thumb over the index finger toward you. Okay? Each recitation of the mantra. So, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, and so forth. When you get around, all the way around to the large bead, which is called the Guru bead, and in a few cases there are malas that don't actually have one of these, but it may have some other thing, but typically there's something on it that indicates the end of the mala. It doesn't just keep going in circles. Instead of crossing over the Guru bead, one of the traditions is that you turn around at that point and go back the other direction. Okay? And again, pulling the bead towards you with your thumb. Now, if you're really doing a lot of these, and I think I talked about this when we were talking about Nundra, where we typically are doing lots and lots of repetitions, your finger can actually get kind of sore. You might move it to a different location or a different finger, or in a few cases you might even switch hands, even though traditionally it's done with the left hand. So there are different ways, or you could put a little piece of tape on your finger to kind of protect it a little bit as you're doing. So there are ways of doing that are still easy on the body, let's say, in the process of repeating these. And so we repeat them as many times as we can, and then do the meditation. In this one, we have a verse here prior to the actual meditation. All the outer and inner phenomena dissolve into light and are absorbed into me. I dissolve into the Hri, which dissolves into the all-pervading emptiness. So this is like I was describing previously in terms of the gradual process. It doesn't give all of the detail, but you get the general idea. The things that are on the outside dissolve into me. I dissolve into the seed syllable. The seed syllable, though it doesn't say it, dissolves from the bottom up into emptiness. Okay? And then we meditate, rest in the natural state as long as we can. Then we do the closing. Again, we reappear as the deity, Chenrezig in this case, the embodiment of wisdom and compassion of all of the Buddhas. Then we dedicate the merit 3 times. And then again, afterwards, in the post-meditation, we remain as Chenrezig as we go about doing our daily activities. So very similar structure to the previous one, but a few differences here and there in the process of doing this particular practice. And you'll find variations of Chenrezig practice as well.